Welcome to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi, powered by the Retirement Income Store and brought to you by Adjemi Financial Strategies in Guilford, Connecticut and Denver, Colorado.
Hey, Dad, I was thinking the other day, actually, I had a picture pop up on my phone from 2018. And you remember when we started remodeling this building we're in right now? The contractor came in with an excavator, he piled some rocks up and put it in front of this roadblock. The road is up here and it slopes down into our yard. And he put some rocks there and built this little retaining wall. And it looked nice and it was cool. And the town came in and they said, no, that's not going to do. And so I'm looking at a picture of you and my brother Matthew, and there's this hole in the ground that looks like the building could fit inside of it. Like it looks like we could take the entire building and just drop it into this hole. And this hole that they built that is deeper than the entire retaining wall was for the retaining wall. And they filled that with concrete. And now you can't see any of this foundation underground that's at least as big as the cement part you can see holding up a driveway. I'm Daniel Adjemi.
I'm Andrew Adjemi, and you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi. And today's topic is foundations. And foundations are a very important aspect when it comes to retirement planning. And I think that's how you're going to relate that, right, Daniel?
I thought you were going to relate it. Yeah, that's exactly right. The foundation is so important. The town came in and saw this nice, cute little retaining wall, and they said, no way, that's not going to work. You're going to have people parking cars up here. We want handicap parking up here. You need to have a real wall with a real foundation. And it is unbelievable how deep that retaining wall's foundation is, how big and how strong that foundation is. And do you know what? We get crazy rains here. We have people parked there. We have big, huge trucks come up and park there. And the thing's solid. It's not going anywhere. And it's a staple. It's what holds our entire driveway, our entire parking lot together.
Right. Yeah.
And this is the same. It didn't happen by accident, but this is the same as finances. It's not going to happen by accident. You have to have, you got to get a second opinion, right? You have to look at it, or maybe hey, my foundation's not set up properly,
right,
to be able to withstand any storms with any big trucks, with anything, any situations that come through. You have to have that foundation that you can't see holding it all together.
Exactly. And the thing about foundations, right, that you need, whatever you build needs a good foundation, whether it's a building or a wall, retaining wall like Daniel was talking about here, or it's a marriage. Marriage needs a good foundation and needs to be based upon as far as I'm concerned, upon Jesus Christ to be able to get the good foundation. And cars need good tires. If you don't have the good tires, thing's going to slip and slide in the snow and not get you to where you want to go. So foundations are very important and are fundamental to what you do. And Daniel, when you're talking about this retaining wall that was put in, the actual piece of wall that can be seen by people is like the tip of the iceberg. Because underneath, that foundation that was put in to hold that up, and then there's all this wall and rebar and all kinds of things that are put in there that people can't see right now. They're in there, but it's all been covered over, and it's all nice, but it's creating that structure that people that we need to put that together to have nothing fall apart. And the thing about foundations, that if you may think that everything is fine until it's too late. Everything is fine until it's not, right? And, I'm thinking about, I bought a truck recently. It's a 2018 truck, 4-wheel drive, put a plow on it. It's all great, nice, going to work well in the snow for me. Tires are good as far as, when the weather is maybe a little rainy or dry and whatnot, but I need to get new tires for the wintertime. even though I got all that power, all that plow, all that stuff that's together, if I don't have the right tires on it, I'm not going to be able to get that power to the road and have it be effective and useful for me. And that's, when people in their retirement plans need to have the same thing. They need to have a good foundation, financial planning, retirement planning. All of that needs a good foundation for the right situation, because you could have all kinds of assets, but if the foundation is right, those assets could be depleted very quickly, very easily. Is an option, is one possibility. But if you have the right foundation, nothing is going to come against that. So that's great. And if you just joined us, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi, and today's topic is foundations. And we have a paper that we'd like to put in your hand called Bonds versus Bond Funds. Bonds versus bond mutual funds are two separate things. They're both have the word bonds in there, but they work differently. And a lot of people don't understand this. And this is one of those aspects about foundations that people need to be able to understand the definitions of the words that they're using to be able to make sure that things are going in the right direction. Well, we'd like to put that in your hand to you, bonds versus bond funds. Just call us 800-725-7616, no charge and no obligation. Or you can just hit us up on our website, agemi.com, agemy.com, and we'll be asked for the paper Bonds versus Bond Funds. Daniel, how when we're talking about these foundations, and several things come to my mind when it comes to building the right retirement plan for people, right? And obviously the foundation is the one thing, but there's those other aspects that fit into play there. In my mind, you got things like the diversification, and then there's the three-legged stool. What are you thinking?
Yeah, well, it's like a food pyramid, right? You have to have that solid, dependable foundation to get everything working properly for you, right?
Right.
And with finances, that can be difficult sometimes, because when you don't have any money, nobody really teaches you. And so it kind of gets built backwards and by happenstance for a lot of people. And they've got like money over here that they don't know what they're doing. Well, I had an old 401k over here and I don't really know what it's doing, but like I had it one time. I got money in this bank account because it's for this, and I have something over here that's for this. And I'm counting on my Social Security, but I don't really know if Social Security is going to be enough for me. And they got all this stuff, but it's the foundation is the thing that gives you the confidence in retirement, where you go and you look and you say, okay, I have this that's going to produce income that I can depend upon. That gives me confidence that I know when I retire, right? So if that's a pension, or some people build their own pensions, which is a really nice thing. If you didn't have an employer that gave you a pension, you can still use some of your retirement savings. Maybe that's your 401k, maybe that's an old 401k that you have laying around somewhere, and you could turn that into a pension that'll give you guaranteed income for as long as you live, or for as long as you and your spouse live, if that's what you desire, right?
Right.
And that's great. And then you mix that with maybe your Social Security, and this is building that dependable base, right? And then you want to have, you were talking about bonds. Bonds are a good way to build that foundation, right? Because when you buy a bond, whether that be a government bond or that be a bond from a good corporation, you know what's happening, right? You give them your $10,000 or your $100,000, and they tell you they will return that to you at the end of the time frame. Call it 6 years. They'll give you your money back, and in the meantime, you collect your coupon, you collect your interest.
Sweet.
So
Yeah.
you build the foundation like that, where you've got some guaranteed income, you've got some Social Security, you've got some maybe corporate bonds or something like that will give you a dependable income. And then what did they have in the Great Depression? who had money in the Great Depression? Well, it was people who had a really good foundation. It
Right.
wasn't people who owned stocks. It was people who had, whole life cash value insurance policies.
Excuse
And
me.
they
Yeah.
took loans against those, and they were able to have money and do the things they needed because they had this money that was solid, good solid foundation, even in, the worst economic times in the last 100 years or so. And so that's what people really need to focus on is that bottom layer of that foundation, because everything else can grow off of that.
Right, right, exactly. I'm right with you there. I agree with you 100%. And if you just picked up listening to us, you listen to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi, and we're glad to have you with us. We have for you today a book. It's a different kind of book. It's a video book. This is a video book that will only take you about, I don't know, 5 minutes to watch from that standpoint, talking about IRAs, Roth IRAs, and 401ks. And we'd love to put that in your hand. And very special book. And you can have that by calling 800-725-7616 or chatting us up at adjemi.com and asking for the video book, IRAs, Roth IRAs. That's Adjemi, AGEMY.com. And we'll look talking today about foundations and the importance of foundations when it comes to retirement plans, especially, or any kind of financial planning. And we'll be looking forward to talking with you more about that when we get back from break. And we'll be right back after this.
I'm David Scranton, founder of the Retirement Income Store. If you're in or near retirement, are you certain you have the right retirement plan in place? Do you want to help ensure your nest egg will last you all throughout retirement? Take our retirement review quiz and find out in 5 minutes or less if you're doing everything you can to achieve a more successful retirement.
Visit us online at adjemi.com. That's AGEMY.com. Welcome back to Financial Strategies with Andrew Adjemi in Connecticut and Daniel Adjemi in Colorado.
So Daniel, Peter, and Mary met with me recently, and I said to them, or they said, "Hey, Andrew, we came in to see you because we want to retire. We want to start being able to use our assets, and we've been able to build this money up, but we're older than we've ever been before, and now we're starting to change how we're looking at this money." And we've been doing quite well, but we're concerned at this point. We're concerned because it's all in the stock market, and the stock market's been going up. It's all in mutual funds, and we're uncertain if that is going to give us the foundation and the longevity in a retirement plan that we're looking to have, because we want to be able to have the income that we need, the money that we need to be able to last the rest of our lives. And I said, well, Peter and Mary, looking at these statements that you brought me, and there you have a very valid point, and I appreciate having an opportunity to look at these things. And you're right. You should have concern. You have 4 or 5 mutual funds or IRAs, 401ks, and they're all in mutual funds. And the problem here is that you don't know what you don't know about this stuff. This is not anywhere near as diversified or fundamental to creating a solid financial program that you want to have to be able to last the rest of your life. I'm Andrew Adjemi.
And I'm Daniel Adjemi, and you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today we're talking about foundations, and Dad, we see a lot of people come in like that. A lot of people who don't really know what to ask. They just feel something's wrong. They know they've been accumulating mutual funds, or they've been accumulating money. They've been accumulating things for a long time, but they don't really understand the plan. I mean, you probably talk to 10 of these people a week.
Right.
And they just want some help. They want to
Right.
get educated. That's the cool thing about the people we talk to. We don't really talk to people maybe once in a while that aren't interested in learning, right? Most of the people that contact us, they want to learn about their investments. They want to learn about their finances, and they want to put together a plan that they can depend upon, have that good foundation, and something that you can hold on to even when everything in the world is going crazy around you, right?
Right. Right. Yeah, that's exactly right, because that's who we work well with, is people that want to be educated. The people that don't know what they don't know. That's why we have financial strategies, is to be able to help people and to be able to educate them with this. And so many times, that's why we're talking this week about foundations, is because so many times people don't understand that just everything that you build needs a good foundation. The same thing with a financial plan, same thing with a retirement plan. And people go at it, and they have success for a period of time, but that doesn't mean that it's not without emotion, not without agony at some point when things happen, because stuff happens. And making a bulletproof um, uh, retirement plan needs a good foundation. And what I view as the things, some of the things for a good foundation especially, is number one, be able to have the proper diversification. And that's a great thing, but a lot of people don't understand that there's three forms of diversification. And so the one is the one that you're so good at, Daniel, when you're talking about all the different kinds of investments that there are out there with people. And that's important, that that there's a lot of different investments, right? Bonds and stocks and mutual funds and annuities, and just business development corporations, and just all kinds of preferreds, all kinds of different investments. And that's important to be able to have diversification in that fashion. But then there's also the diversification of tax diversification, and there's tax-free, tax after tax, tax advantaged, all kinds of different things from that angle. We need to make sure that that's wound up properly. I've seen people really get hurt tax-wise on things, because even though they grew their money, they had to give a lot of it back to the government in the form of taxes in one way or another. And then the third kind of diversification is the diversification of strategies, investment strategies. There's the performance strategy that typically 20, 30, 40-year-olds are involved with, especially. And then there's the distribution strategy, to where it needs to be being set up to either take the money because people are getting in their 50s, 60s, 70s and beyond, or if they're not taking it, that can be reinvested. That income can be reinvested to be able to create the continue to create a good foundation for them for their retirement. So diversification in these free fashions is a key thing. And if you just picked up listening to us, you listen to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi, and we have a paper that we like to put in your hand called Bonds versus Bond Funds. And that's one of the strategies, that's one of the diversifications that's involved. Bonds and bond funds are two different things. They're different pieces of investment strategy. And we want to make sure that you understand the difference between the two. And so we'd love to put this in your hand. You can have it for free with no obligation, calling 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616. You listen to Financial Strategy. Today's topic is foundations. Daniel, what else?
Well, that's that third strategy, the strategy foundation you were talking about, gets real interesting because it's people don't take the time, I think, to stop and put the two and two together, right? The two and two anybody could do, but to put it together. So you're young, and it kind of rolls into the first diversification you were talking about, as well as through different types of investments. So you're 25 years old, 26 years old. You got your master's. You're going getting your first job. You've got nothing. You've got debt, and you've got no assets. You've got no money. So these diversifications, right? You buy the S&P 500, which is like 25% or 30%. 6 stocks. Actually, it might be more than that now, right? So it's not so diversified anymore because there's Tesla, Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Netflix, right?
Right.
And so that's really what you're buying, because it's not 500 stocks in an equal basket. It's divided by market cap. So these multi-trillion dollar market caps are taking up the space, but that's fine because you're just going to work and you're earning your paycheck and you're putting some money into your 401k, and
Right.
you were working hard for your money. Now you're 36 and you're still working hard for your money, and that's all fine.
Right.
But then you're 56 or you're 66. Well, you don't need to have, once you build that foundation, you don't need to be working hard for your money anymore. You
Right.
need to flip the way you think. And this is the 2 and 2, right?
Right.
First off, take your money out of that diversified S&P 500 because it's not so diversified. You have enough money that you need to be in individual positions that have promises associated to it. This is not a market that you want to be speculating in, right? Once you've saved your money. So you get solid, you set up some risk management, right? You have assets now you want to protect, and you don't want to work hard for your money anymore.
Right.
You want your money to work hard for you because that's what the purpose was of working 26, 36, 46. It was to save up this money so that your money can work for you. And somewhere along the way, people don't flip that switch. And that's what we see all the time. They're still thinking, I need to work hard for my money. I need to work hard for my money. Or I want to spend the money that I saved. And those are both fine. If you want to keep working hard, go for it. And if you want to spend your money, go for it. But if you want to have like this dependable retirement we're talking about, you got to make your money your slave. You got to make that money work for you, right? And live off the interest and dividends.
Exactly. That's great. And that can create such a relief for people when it comes to the foundation of their retirement plan, that if you've got dividends and interests that are coming in, whether they're going into your bank account so that you can actually spend them, or they're actually just going back into your investment account and you're reinvesting them, either way, that can create a great foundation for people. And I'm glad that you brought that up. That's good stuff. Well, if you've just joined us, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi. Today's topic is foundations. And, we are at the beginning of a new year, and we think about starting things fresh. And with that, we want you to be thinking about starting your retirement plan fresh, or how to revamp your retirement plan as you're getting older now, right? And as we move into your 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, to be able to make sure that you have what you need to not run out of money during your lifetime. Well, we have a book. This is a video book. It's a very special book that we'd love to be able to put in your hand. It's called IRAs, Roth IRAs, and 401ks. And you can have that book by calling us at 800-725-7616, 800-725-7616. Or you can also check us out on our website, agemi.com, agemy.com. You can ask for it there. And then also you can view some of the other radio shows or podcasts that we have there to be able to educate you on some of the things that you need to know, because that's why we have Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi, because people don't know what people don't know. We'll be right back after this.
History tells us the market goes up and the market goes down. What would you do if you lost half of your retirement savings? It's time to make the shift to steady, reliable retirement income. And where do you go? The Retirement Income Store. Log on to agemy.com for your free retirement review. That's agemy.com. The Retirement Income Store, where retirees go for income.
Welcome back to Financial Strategies with Andrew Adjemi in Connecticut and Daniel Adjemi in Colorado.
Dad, one of the things with building a good foundation is you got to start early. Just like when we built the foundation to our retaining wall, right? It took a lot of time to dig out that thing and fill it in. And, I was just looking at somebody's portfolio, and this is somebody who had come into us and they did a good job of saving. They did a very good job of saving, But it was just like Peter and Mary, who we were talking about earlier, who they said, we know we want to retire in a few years. And this is the key, because a lot of times people say, oh, I'll call you when I'm retired. But these people knew that they had to get that foundation right. So they called, they said, hey, we want to talk to you. And they came in and they talked to us, and we started helping them build these foundations, just like we talked about, with that nice solid base of these different things. And what that in turn does for them is now they all retired. And not only are they retired, but these got something like $1.5 million that's generating $90,000 a year. And he's not using all of that, which means that 90 is going to get bigger. But he can depend upon that. That's 90,000. That's not Social Security. That's not nothing else. That's just off of his assets that he gets to depend upon. Now, you tell me, does that sound like a nice retirement? That you know
Yeah.
you got a 90,000 plus your social, plus your pensions, plus these other things that you can have coming into you?
Right.
That's because they looked ahead of time, because you could not be that same number if you called the day of retirement.
Right.
I'm Daniel Adjemi.
And I'm Andrew Adjemi. You're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi. Today's topic is foundations, and the importance of putting together and having the right foundation for your retirement plan. Daniel, that's a great story and of what's happening, and that's so true that so many times people say, "Okay, I want to retire. I'll see you when I retire, or I want to retire today, Andrew," and or that kind of thing. And yeah, we can obviously help people like that, but those that plan ahead and have the right foundation are in a much better situation themselves to be able, later like that, like you're saying there, $90,000 on 1.5 million. That's pretty sweet money there. And, that works tremendously. As I'm thinking about this, Daniel, we talked about in regard to creating the right foundation, we need to be able to have diversifications. The three kinds of diversifications need to be taken care of properly, and that's going to be best guided by somebody that knows. That's an income specialist, a retirement specialist. But then there's also the three-legged stool to create a foundation, right? A stool with three legs is a very sturdy stool from that standpoint. And, typically, as you well know, people's retirement plans are built upon a Social Security, a pension, and the third leg being their own assets. And, that's very important to be able to get these things in balance right. Some people create a good foundation for a retirement plan because they say, "Oh, I'm gonna go into the military. I'm going to work 20 years in the military. Then I'm going to retire. I'm going to get a pension. Then I'm going to go out. I'm going to work for the post office for another 20 years or whatever. I'm going to get another pension from the post office or whatever." And they end up with maybe 1, 2, 3 pensions between, or some. I mean, I've heard of spouses that have 4 pensions besides Social Security, and that's a fun foundational, a good foundation for a retirement plan. But not everybody has that today, especially the younger you are, the less likely you are you have to be able to have that, unless you are going with some form of the government. But these are the 3 things that are very important that I think we should be talking about. You agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just say that we work with a lot of people who build their own pensions, who build their own guaranteed income streams. And so even though they may not have got one from the military or got one from the post office or, their old employer, is people can build their own pension, build their own guaranteed income to have that leg, because a one-legged stool, you got to be pretty good balancer. Two-legged stool, right? You get to be a pretty good balancer. And then, like, if you're on a two-legged stool and you got it all figured out and you're balancing, and then you lose one of the legs because something happens, are you gonna fall over, or are you gonna be a little better balancer? I don't know, but it's nice if you have 3, or if you go ahead and add a 4th leg to that stool, right? But those 3 are vital.
Right, exactly. And that's we want to talk about that. But, before we do, I want to remind you, if you just started listening to us, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi. Today's topic is foundations for a retirement plan. And we have a paper that we'd like to put in your hand if you'd like that. It's called 10 Estate Planning Mistakes to Avoid. 10 estate planning mistakes to avoid. And you can have that by calling 800-725-7616. 800-725-7616. Call now. Daniel, when we're looking at this three-legged stool, the first leg that I see on that three-legged stool is Social Security, and Social Security wasn't meant to be a retirement plan. When it started, it was meant to be a widows and orphans benefit primarily, to be able to take care of widows and of the wives and children of people, because back then when people retired at 65, they lived maybe a year or two or three or something like that, and didn't last very long. But today, here we are, we have people that can be on Social Security. Some of them can be on Social Security longer than they even paid into Social Security. So, that is something people are always asking the question, is Social Security going to be here for them? Well, as a baby boomer in the 80s, that was a big question on my mind. And lo and behold, here it is. Social Security is still here. And my elder siblings there that are baby boomers and such are all on Social Security. So, Social Security is here. Social Security may be modified in various ways. I think it's going to continue in some form or fashion, but that is a leg on the stool. And the big question is making that people are able to get the most bang for their buck out of Social Security. Because when you take Social Security, if you're married, the spouse, if you're divorced, had been married to that person for 10 years, a lot of these things can come into play to make a difference in a person's that leg on their retirement plan, and their foundation be able to help them to be able to get the most bang for their buck.
Yeah, definitely. And each of these legs on the stool, you can fine tune. And you need to. I mean, Social Security, you paid into there, so you already have lost the opportunity or cost of investing that yourself. So you might as well fine tune it and get the maximum payout that you can get. Same with your pension. There's different ways you could take that. Maybe some could give you better. Same with your personal savings. Why would you take less? Like if you went in to buy a iPhone at the Apple store and they were like, we're going to give you a case, we're going to give you a phone charger, and we're going to give you the entire phone. Or you could take just 3/4 of the phone and nothing else. Well, you wouldn't even think about that. Right. But people do that. But people do that with Social Security. Right? How many times have you helped somebody increase their Social Security payout?
Right. A lot of times.
Probably too many to count.
Right.
And pensions and these kinds of things. So that's a huge thing, is not only having those, right, but fine tuning them. I like the way you said that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, when you're talking about Social Security, there's a lot of different things that can come into play with that. You can work, or you can wait until 70 years old to take your Social Security. That's when you receive the largest payment that you can possibly receive from that angle. With some people, it doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter if you don't collect at 70, you're not getting anything extra. You're just losing money at that point. So the longest that you can go is 70 years old, and the earliest, as a widow or widower, you can collect at 60 years old, or if you're not a widow or widower, you can collect at 62 for a reduced amount. And so, all these things come into play to make sure that we want to make sure that that what's available. And so many times people don't realize also, here's the big thing about Social Security, is they don't realize that if a spouse dies, that they are then entitled to spousal benefits. many times I'll be talking to people to tell them about their spousal benefits. They say, I didn't know I had that. One of our newest clients, his wife had died and he's entitled to his spousal benefits. That is very significant for him in this case, that he's going to be able to collect those. He just retired. He's going to collect those for now. Then he's going to push off his Social Security until he's 70 years old and be able to take that and get a larger amount at that point. So a lot of exciting things that can be done if you just know or have somebody that does know be able to help you. So we're glad that you're listening to Financial Strategy today with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi. We have a video book we'd like to put in your hand, and it's called IRAs, Roth IRAs, and 401ks. And this is just a short book, about a 5-minute video that we'd love to send to you. And it's yours for the asking. No charge, no obligation, 800-725-7616. Or if you look us up on our website, Adjemi, the 2 words, agemi.com, that we will be able to get that to you in one form or fashion. All right. So we'll look forward to getting that out to you. And we'll be right back after this to talk about the next 2 legs.
I'm David Scranton, founder of the Retirement Income Store. If you're in or near retirement, are you certain you have the right retirement plan in place? Do you want to help ensure your nest egg will last you all throughout retirement? Take our retirement review quiz and find out in 5 minutes or less if you're doing everything you can to achieve a more successful retirement.
Visit us online at Adjemi.com. That's AGEMY.com. Welcome back to Financial Strategies with Andrew Adjemi in Connecticut and Daniel Adjemi in Colorado.
So Daniel, back in the day, long when about time was born, right? As I used to be 6'5", and at this point I think I've shrunk down below 6'4", but size 14 foot, and decades ago I had these when they were kind of popular, Converse canvas sneakers, right? And they were red. And, it was really interesting because, with size 14 red Converse, they look like clown shoes, but nevertheless, those were my shoes and they protected me, and they were kind of like stylish at the time. And, with that, I enjoyed those shoes for a period of time, but, I don't know what finally ended up happening. I tried to give them to my nephews. They wouldn't wear them. By that point, they didn't like that red. But the point is, you should see me when I would have my multicolored suspenders on, and, with wearing those, I looked like a real clown at that point. But, nevertheless, I'm a big guy, needed big shoes to be able to give me the right foundation that I needed. I'm Andrew Adjemi.
And I'm Daniel Adjemi. And you're listening to Financial Strategies. Today we're talking about foundations, and what could be a better thing than some nice big red shoes to keep you on the ground. Yeah, you're kind of a giant. And so those probably didn't look too big on you. Not like, my brothers are like the same size as me, and most of them have like 2 shoe sizes smaller. I'm like, how do those little feet keep you standing up? But you're even bigger over there.
Right. Exactly. And, when we're talking about this retirement plan needing a good foundation, and those shoes helped me with that. And we're, a stool, if you've got a stool, with 3 legs, it's a pretty solid stool. Of course, 4 is even better. But, what we talked about just before break was the idea of Social Security being one of those legs on that stool. And, then of course there's pensions. Pensions are another leg on that stool. And some people have pensions today. The private sector is doing away with their pensions. It's kind of interesting because, Daniel, we work with, small to medium-sized businesses who are actually, some of them are putting pensions into play for themselves and their employees and that kind of thing. That can be very helpful from that standpoint. And some employees don't even recognize the value of it when they're young, is what we're finding. But, pensions can be a very foundational, fundamental piece of a retirement plan. that is good. Now, the thing with pensions, you have to be able to understand, well, how to take the pension, because if you're married, it's your spouse's pension as well, right? So do you take the large amount, and then if you die, that your spouse gets nothing, or do you take, 100, do you take a lesser amount than and you die, your spouse gets 100% of what you get? So it doesn't matter who lives, who dies, that the same amount keeps coming. Well, there's a lot of different questions. Or do you get, does your spouse get 50%? There's a lot of different ways of looking at that, and different people can prepare for that in different fashions, right? You've seen that, Danielle.
It depends. It depends where you are, and you're exactly right. Different people take it in different fashions, and one of the things one of our favorite fourth legs in that stool, right, is we like to build good, solid, interest paying, cash value life insurance policies. But you got to start those. Typically, you got to start those early. Now early is relative, right? Because you could be 50 or you could be 60, and that's still early.
Exactly.
If you don't need it for another, call it 10 years, right?
Right.
But you build that in there, and that gives you another leg, which gives you a lot more optionality. If you built that foundation earlier, now you got the pension. It gives you a lot more optionality because you can do pension maximization, you can do some other things, and the savings you can get on your interest, you're guaranteed, you're promised, you're guaranteed interest, not even counting about the death benefit and the opportunity, right? I just call it an opportunity fund. People are like, what are you talking about? It's an opportunity fund, right? Because you got this money sitting there earning like 6% tax equivalent interest, right? Because you'd have to earn 6% in the bank to do the same.
Right.
And it's just sitting there waiting for opportunities, or for in the terrible times, if something bad happens, you got cash for opportunities or to take care of your family, whatever you need. But that was a long roundabout way of saying, that's another example of, if you have more legs, it gives you more optionality in there, because now it allows you to do different options with your pension that might give you more money now.
Yeah.
While your family's still taken care of.
And that also increases the diversification that we were talking about, right? That gives you more opportunities. You get some tax-free diversification there. You get some safety diversification as far as investments go. So there's a lot of different things that are going on from that angle. I like that. Well, if you've just joined us, you're listening to Financial Strategies with Andrew and Daniel Adjemi. Today's topic is foundations, and we're talking about how important it is to have the right foundation for your retirement plan so that you don't run out of money, so that you're able to have what you need to live the rest of your life. And we have a paper that we'd like to put in your hand that may help you as we talk about the latter years of your life. It's called 10 Estate Planning Mistakes to Avoid. 10 Estate Planning Mistakes to Avoid. We'd love to put that in your hand at no charge, no obligation. It's yours for the calling and for the asking. 800-725-7616, or our last name spelled Adjemi, Agemy, Agemy. And that's agemy.com that you can look up, and you can ask for it on there as well if you'd like to do it electronically. So we'll look forward to being able to get that out to you quickly. The paper 10 Estate Planning Mistakes. You listen to Financial Strategies. Today's topic, foundations. And as we need to be wrapping this up, let's get to that. Another leg on that stool is the personal assets, and that is the third leg, which is very important, to be able to make sure that your assets are being used in a fashion that's going to do what you want it to do. And this is where that diversification, that strategy diversification comes in, regarding performance versus purpose. And, if your purpose is taken care of with your assets, you can go more on the performance side. But if your other legs on your stool are not taken care of and the purpose is not there, well, then you need to make sure that your assets are creating a purposeful and income for you and helping fulfill that purpose, right, Daniel?
Yeah, exactly. And you get the purpose set first, and that's what the foundation is all about. And I can't say it enough, right? Hope is not an investment strategy. Hope is a 4-letter word. You have to actually have a plan with real investments, not speculation. So many people get stuck in this thing of like your 21-year-old who it's fine. Go lose some money in the markets, go lose some money in crypto, go lose some money in that your friend's neighbor's investment thing they're making, right?
Right.
Because it's all learning experience. So you're buying education, and that's fine at 21.
Right.
But you got to get serious once you're getting close to that retirement of putting together that risk man, especially as crazy as markets are, right? That risk management
Mm-hmm.
that allows you to have the income you need and benefit from volatility, because we're not going to shut off volatility, right? You could buy investments that protect you from volatility, but you can't shut off volatility in this world, right? It's a volatile world.
Right.
So hope is not an investment strategy.
Right.
And turn your assets into real investment. Investment means it pays you. You don't have to wait around to see it.
Yeah.
Because you can just look in your account. You're going to see this money trickling into your account, right? Or pouring into your account, depending on how you have this set up.
Yeah. Kind of like the old-fashioned bank accounts, right? Where you get interest every year. And, you could just leave your money in there and you get that interest coming in. And if you wanted the interest, you could take the interest out and spend it. Or if you didn't want the interest, you could just let it compound there and your account value would grow the old-fashioned way, right? Interest and dividends. Yeah.
I mean, talk about Christmas presents. It's insane looking in our clients' accounts and just watching over, the year end change, all the dividends and interest just pouring into their account. It's the opposite of somebody's, checking account or credit card where you see money going out buying all the presents. So you look in your statement or at your statement in your account, you just see all this money from all these different things coming in and paying you. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the personal savings. It's not sitting in your bank account rotting. It's not in your backyard. You're lighting it on fire, right? It's sitting there in this thing, but it's working hard for you. So when you're buying presents or you're doing this or you're doing that, those investments are throwing money back into your account, so that you can replenish the account that you're using to do the things you want to do. It's called life, right? It's called living. It's called retirement. It should be enjoyable.
Right. Exactly. And, that is so beautiful. And people have this retirement plan, the foundations put together in a way, the strategies set up so that they can be able to have their Social Security pumping out the most that they can get for it on that front. They can get their pension paying them in a way that's going to be beneficial to them and to their spouse when either passes away. They can get their assets set up in a way that can create that money flow that they need on a regular basis. And then if they have money left over besides, they can put on the fourth leg through various ways, whether it's, at what you talked about in regard to doing some permanent cash value life insurance, or it's other investments that they have to be able to do that. And all the while, making sure that they've got the diversification on the tax side and the investment side and the strategy side to give them what they need to make sure that you don't run out of money for the rest of your life. Well, we're running out of time here today, and we're so glad that you've been able to join us on Financial Strategies with Andrew Daniel. We've had some fun and hope that you've enjoyed it as we start this new year, and foundations and the importance of setting them up for and having the right foundation for your retirement plan. If you have any questions, you can contact us at adjmi.com, and we will look forward to catching up with you next time. But in the meantime, we have a book we'd like to put in your hand: IRAs, Roth IRAs, and 401ks. Call us at 800-725-7616 to get your copy. And until next time, you too can have a stress-free retirement.